Yulan True and welcome to another exciting day in our galaxy. Today I want to talk a little bit about below deck officers. Yes, Fossil, that's video for you. And as I usually do some videos on request, so this is one of them. One of my Alliance members asked me to do this video and I happily do this. You can ask for videos yourself if you put something in the comments, by the way. And before I forget it, please do subscribe to this channel and click this little bell so you will not miss any video. And there will be a lot more information in the future, I promise. But let's talk about below deck officers. So we just go to one of my ships because we can easily see that there. Below deck officers were not there in the beginning of the game, of course. They were introduced later and are quite a nice addition for all the abilities of the bridge officers. Before that, you only had officers below deck just to get a little bit more power for your ship. And that's why I always put Grush there if I haven't needed him anywhere else, because he brought a lot of numbers. He has 148k, as you can see. But since we have the below deck officers, I really use their abilities. I was asked to talk about which are the best ones, but to be honest, they all have different abilities. And they are all kind of good for different uses in the game. So that you cannot really say this is the best one or this is the best one. I have my favorites, of course, for what I'm doing. And you can see this at the moment when I'm trying to get loot and ship parts and stuff like that. But otherwise, there are no the best ones. You see Neelix is not in use at the moment, but he's below deck. On another ship, he would be active. As you know, they are only active if those slots are already unlocked by upgrading the ship. And the Stellar doesn't have the last slot anyway. It's a max Stellar at the moment. We are in the Apex event again when I'm filming. And so you see I have a lot of below decks officers on the lower decks. And you can see this because their insignia have a white background. So if it's command or science or whatever, they have this white background. And with that you can see they are below deck officers. If you look below, Grush, Spock, Bones, etc. don't have this. But you can find them by clicking on sword, and there you have the option below deck officers or below deck ability. And there you get first all the below deck officers or officers with below deck abilities. Ransom, for example, I usually don't use below deck. I use him in PvP on the bridge, but he has a below deck ability as well. And you see on my list that goes down until Boimler. And they have different abilities. When I talk about officers on this channel, about a single officer, I always talk about their abilities. And I talked about Neelix, for example, or Tuvok, and Andy Billups and so on. And then I talked about their below deck abilities as well. And they have different ones. And the Doctor is always, for example, below deck because his below deck ability Renaissance Man means he increases all resources dropped by hostiles by 15%. And when you go and grind hostiles, that's quite a nice ability. And when you're on a little bit of a higher level, Picard Beverly Crusher has the ability Organ Donor. And Beverly increases the amount of broken parts you get from killing hostiles by 15% as well. And you need a lot of those. So that's a nice one. And then Galinar, for example, as I said, I'm using this for loot at the moment. He increases Action Venom and Inert Nanoprobe loot dropped from hostiles by 15% of their base value. And that's what's theirs is ours. Sometimes you need a below deck officer so that the bridge officers do work. Let's just pick something. Oh yeah, the game is acting up again. And that means, as usual, I'm not sugarcoating anything, but it also means that I have to restart the device completely. And I just restarted the whole device before I started filming, and still it's crashing. But that's an iPad thing. If you can choose between playing on a desktop and playing on the iPad, if you want to do something important, do it on the desktop, because the iPad crashes a lot and my desktop doesn't. At the moment in the territory season we have, I always switch to the desktop when it comes to the fights, because there I can fight. On the iPad, I guess it would crash every 30 seconds. So that's something you need to know. But as I said, I'm not sugarcoating this, so I'm not editing this out of the video. I just make a quick interruption before you see something proper again, because I have to restart and to stop the video and restart the video filming. And here we are again with the crew that I wanted, because I just wanted to show you something. Ransom has an ability on the bridge. On round start, if an explorer with morale, Jack Ransom increases your isolated cascade damage by 60%, blah, blah, blah. He needs morale. Now I have a captain that can do it. But if you want to use an officer like Ransom on the bridge and you don't have another fitting bridge officer that brings the state, someone like Ransom, Freeman, or Billups or so needs, then you can put one below deck, because, for example, Belana below deck brings hull breach. So if you need hull breach and you have no one on the bridge, or cannot have anyone on the bridge with that ability, you can have below deck ones. Neelix, for example, brings burning, and Harry Kim brings morale. So if you need to activate this ability but cannot do this on the bridge, you can do it from below deck. And that's why sometimes a combination with below deck officers for your bridge crew is very important as well. So in this case, as I said, I don't need it, but for showing it was quite okay, I guess. And of course, some like Ransom have a very good below deck ability. If you put him below deck on an interceptor and an enemy has hull breach, Jack Ransom increases your isolated defense by 40% for 1 round as well, if you need that. So if you have Ransom and Belana below deck, Belana can bring the state Ransom needs, and you have additional abilities for your added to your bridge crew, so to speak. And so below deck officers really got important. And just one comment, the introduction of new officers like Ransom, Billups, and so on. Just like before when they introduced Veyun and Demar and Ducat and so on, they are changing the whole PvP crew stuff again. So I'll soon have to make new PvP crew videos as well. But for the below deck officers, they are a really important part for your crew and for what your ship can do. Another question I got from Fossil was, how do I get them? Well, you usually don't get them from the standard recruit stuff. If you have a look, wherever you look in, you usually don't have below deck officers included. But some of them at the moment you can find in the transporter pattern section. For example, I guess Barclay was below deck as well. He gives you more protected cargo when he is below deck. You have Devana Tandy, you have Beckett Mariner, and that I guess was it with below deck abilities. But some of them you can get here with transporter patterns, and some more you find in the refinery. For example, in Borg Tech, I can't show you at the moment because we recently did expansion cubes and I exchanged it. In the expansion cube exchange, for example, you find Borg Queen and I think it was Dezok shards as well. In the Mantis refinery, of course, you find Strange New World Hammer parts. He is a below deck officer with the ability Telepathic Resolve. He increases health of all officers by 80% of base value, or X%, because that always depends on his level. And so there are different places, but usually at the moment you find most of them only in events. And no, there was somewhere as well where I got Badgie parts all the time, but I don't recall this at the moment. So if you know where I got my Badgie parts, let me know. because he's getting better and better. I thought he would be of no use, but he might be for some occasions be very good on the bridge. Next to a captain, of course, he has no captain's ability, but still. So that was the questions I got. I cannot tell you what is the best below deck officer because they all have their different strengths, and I use them for different tasks. And so you have to find out which ones you like the most. If you want to get them, try to get them via events a lot, as I said, and don't forget to use them. That's the most important part, because a good below deck crew, and for PvP I use my Borg crew as well when I use Carol Freeman, because Assimilate works as well on her, and the full Borg crew below deck with Dezorg, Gossa and the Borg Queen does a lot of assimilating. So have a closer look at yours. They will be of a big help. And if you want to know something about other officers, cruise ships, whatever, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.